Hello, welcome back to tutorial number 2. In the first tutorial we covered all the main controls and we also created our first riff, which was a bass riff. What we're going to do in this tutorial is create some rhythm to go along with that. So what we'll do is we'll move down to track or channel number 2 and we will create some complementary rhythm. First thing we'll do is go into the riff editor, and now we'll add some drums. Hang on a minute, there's a keyboard there. How are we going to add drums? Well, we treat all the rhythm samples exactly the same way as we treat all the melody, bass and so on. They are samples and you can play them any pitch, which is quite handy. So we'll go into the sample library, and this is where we were before with the bass. If I move to the right with the analog stick, we'll go through the melody section. I'll just play a couple of these if you like. There we go. But we'll go through and we'll get to rhythm. So the first subcategory is cymbal. We've got hi-hats, human sounds, and kick drums. Right, this is what we want. We'll start off with a kick drum. There we go. That sounds fair enough. So we'll press the A button. We've selected it just like we selected the bass sound. We'll place a kick drum on each of the dark columns, and they are the beat columns basically, and pop out of there. And as you can see, we've got a new riff. Previous one was 652, next one 654. There was a 653 and that was one I was playing around with in between the two tutorials. So let's pop that down and see what happens. Great, that's all well and good. Now let's add a hi-hat in there to make it a bit interesting. We've got a couple of options. What I could do is pop down to track 3 or channel 3 and create a new riff and put hi-hats in, or we can go in here. So back into the riff editor. We can have more than one sound basically in each riff. So what we'll do is go into the sample library and go back to hi-hats. We'll select that with A, and we'll pop a hi-hat in between each kick drum. There we go. So I'll play that back within the riff editor, and then if I press B, we'll come out and press the start button again. That's great. Okay, so what if we want to kick the song off with a bass line and no rhythm? Well, we just press the X button, get rid of that first drum, and press the start button. Okay, but everything comes in at once. Perhaps we should start with kick and then have kick and hi-hat. Well, that's the second option, the second way of doing things. So if I go into that riff and get rid of those hi-hats by pressing the X button. There we go, they've gone. So let's create a new riff here. And the last sound we used was the hi-hat sound, so that'll be the currently available sound. There we go. And if I press play within the riff editor, we'll just hear the riff without the rest of the song. And there we go. Actually, we want to get rid of that so that we start off with bass, then we get bass and kick, and then the hi-hats come in. So there you go. What we'll do next is we will change how those hi-hats sound. They sound a little bit harsh to me, I think. So we'll make them sound a bit less harsh, a little bit sort of bit more sort of floaty and sizzly. How are we going to do that? Okay, well we can make everything in this track sound slightly different. If you look top right hand corner, you'll see there's a picture of the D-pad and it says track effects. So if I push left, there we go, that's track effects. It's actually track parameters as well, so we can change the volume of the track. We can change the pan position, that's where it is in stereo, whether it's left, right, middle. We've got filter, and that's the thing we're going to start playing with. Currently set to none, but we can set it to low, band, high, and notch. Low frequency filter only allows low frequencies through, so sort of the low end bass sounds. Band allows the mid frequencies through. High only allows the high frequencies through, sort of the sizzly hi-hat type sounds. And notch lets us notch out literally some of the bass, some of the mid, wherever we want. Well, how can we control it? Well, that's the next one. We've got frequency, and that tells Write Your Own Music where you would like the filter to start working. So I'll move that up a little bit for the hi-hats, because we just want the top end of the hi-hat. Q factor, that's how intense the drop-off is at the frequency. Basically that slider there. We'll leave that where it is for now, which is it's the lowest setting. Effect level, that's got nothing to do with filters. That's to do with whether you want reverb on your track or delay. When I say track, I mean channel. So on this particular channel, channel 3, we could have some reverb on those hi-hats, but we won't. We'll leave it at 0 for now. So if we press the B button and press play again, those hi-hats aren't quite as loud or quite as harsh. We can make them even more sort of sizzly. We'll ramp the frequency a bit further. There we go. So you can play with that to your heart's content and just change how you want that to sound. And there endeth that lesson, and we'll see you again.